All right, good Wednesday morning, everybody. I'm First Alert Meteorologist Zack Webster with today's update on the river flooding situation around the western slope, and some good news that we can finally start reporting on across the region. We're starting to see some of those flood alerts be dropped from around the region. We'll go ahead and take you straight into that flood alerts map. First place we'll take you is down along the San Miguel River. That flood advisory has been discontinued, but the flood advisory does continue for the Dolores River, including down Highway 141 and into Gateway. I did a quick check of that river graph before hopped on here. Right now, the Dolores River up around Cisco, still in moderate flood stage, but it will very quickly begin to drop throughout the day today, and we should be out of any sort of flood stage over the next couple of days or so. So hopefully by tomorrow or Friday, we will start to see that flood advisory get dropped. Farther off toward the east, I still have a couple of these flood advisories for places like Orchard City and over close toward places like Paonia and Hotchkiss. Again, the one on the left, flood advisory until further notice. It's for Surface Creek to the confluence of the Gunnison River. That includes the cities of Orchard City, Cedar Edge, and Eckert. I have not seen any sort of actual flood reports out of that one. A little bit of a different story for the one farther off toward the east. That is a flood advisory for the North Fork of the Gunnison River. That includes Cottonwood Creek, Jay Creek, Lareau Creek, and Bell Creek, and that should go until 6 o'clock this evening. That one has actually had reporting flooding reported. Emergency management reported significant erosion of the banks along the river that's causing some flooding right along the riverbank. So again, that continues until 6 o'clock on Thursday, and we still have our flood advisories in effect for the Colorado River that runs right along Interstate 70 and the Gunnison River that runs just to the south of Grand Junction. Quick look at some of those river graphs. We'll start out with the Colorado River near the state line. Currently, or at least as of 7:45 this morning, the latest observed value was 12.14 feet, and we'll continue to kind of oscillate right around that value for the next few days, at least through Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and into early Sunday morning as well. We'll kind of hang out right around that 12-foot zone where we'll continue to see some flooding of agricultural lands between the Redlands and Fruita. Then as we head into Monday, and especially throughout next week, we'll really start to see that river begin to drop back down, and we'll actually be out of action stage probably by early Monday morning. So we'll start to see those flood waters begin to recede once again at the Colorado River near the state line. We're also seeing improvements along the Gunnison River just to the south of Grand Junction. As of 7:30 this morning, the observed value 10.05 feet, pretty similar to what we're seeing along the Colorado River. We'll kind of see it fluctuate within that kind of 10-foot area for the next few days, at least throughout the rest of the day, today, tomorrow, Saturday. Then we'll really start to see things begin to fall Sunday, Monday, and especially into Tuesday. And a quick reminder, at around 9 feet, we'll still see some lowland flooding near the Redlands Dam, and as long as it continues to hang around that kind of 10, 11 foot area, we could continue to see water nearing the bottom of the Highway 141 bridge and the base of the bridge near Redlands Dam. However, I think once we make our way into Friday night, we'll really start to see those water levels begin to drop, and we won't really see an issue with water nearing the bottom of those bridges after about Friday night. The one area that it did not show on the flood alerts map is Plateau Creek over around State Highway 65. You'll see there's no longer a flood advisory in effect. There's a look at that river graph. Here's the reason why we're not under that flood advisory anymore. Water levels have stayed well below that action stage over the last few days, and it looks like that will continue to be the case at least until early Saturday morning. So there's no immediate threat to very much flooding along Plateau Creek. So flood advisory has been discontinued, but be aware as we head into Saturday, Sunday, and especially into Monday and Tuesday, it looks like we'll start to see water levels on the rise along Plateau Creek, so we may need a reissuance of that flood advisory throughout the weekend, and especially into early next week. We'll start reaching pretty close to that action stage once again early Saturday morning, and we'll continue to climb through that action stage and eventually into minor flood stage into early next week. And a quick reminder, at around 7.5 feet, we're still well below that number right now at 6.54 feet, but at 7.5 feet, we'll see some lowland flooding along State Route 65 east of where it intersects with Interstate 70. We'll start hitting that mark once again probably by early Sunday morning, and as we continue throughout the weekend and into early next week, once we cross over that 8-foot mark, we can see water approaching homes in some of the low-lying areas next to Plateau Creek. So at the moment, we're not looking at any risk for very much flooding right along Plateau Creek, out around places like Cameo along State Route 65. That'll continue throughout the rest of this week, but into the weekend and into early next week, we'll start to see those river levels back on the rise once again. We may have to deal with some minor flooding, including potentially in some residential areas by early next week. But overall, outside of that, things starting to improve along the Dolores River, along the Colorado River, along the Gunnison River. Hopefully those patterns continue over the next few days, and maybe we can wind up out of these flood conditions maybe a little bit earlier than what we're seeing right now. We'll continue to keep an eye on it. We'll continue to have updates each morning.